Hi, my name is Jay Oza. I help people win with their speeches. I hope these videos are helping you, and if you ever need help with any of your speeches, let me know. And that's exactly what I want to talk about. Let's say you have a high stakes or a high opportunity speech to give. How much lead time do you need to do a, let's say, good to great job? And this comes up quite a bit. People suddenly want to give a speech, or they are asked to give a speech, and they usually don't give that much time, like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and in between they think there's a lot of other stuff that they can do. I know people have life, they have work, and that's why I believe that if you ever have to give a speech, you need a 6 weeks lead time. That is what you need. That way you can be ready, prepared, well rehearsed to deliver a great experience, a good to great experience. So let's just say, once you have already picked out a date, and let's say it's 6 weeks from 6 weeks from today, let's say. The first week you should just focus on all the different ideas you have, because you want to get that done quickly. Not quickly, you want to get that done first. So you just focus on, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about that. Don't worry about the structure or anything. Just jot down all the different ideas and create a document and say, I want to say this, I want to say this, I want to say this, all the different things you want to say. Because you'll come up with a lot here. And then you're going to have to decide what is going to really make sense. What is the main focus? So first you're going to just, I call that the ideation phase, right? Just come up with all the ideas about a topic. Make sure you are clear on what the topic is. From that, create a rough outline. Not a detailed outline, a rough outline. Okay? Because this is something you either will have to do some research or something you already know about. And even if you know about it, is necessary to go through this exercise, because you want to be so well prepared that when you get on the stage, it'll be a piece of cake. The deliverable that comes out of this at the end of this phase one, is an outline, a rough outline. Could be, here's the main idea, here are the 3 things I want to talk about, and here's how I want to conclude. You don't want to spend too much time on this, okay? Once you have the outline, then turn on the camera like this and start speaking. This is your first version. That, people may use different words, but I'll call it the crappy first speech, CFS. Okay, this is your crappy first speech. If you want to be rough, you can call it the shitty first speech. Okay, it's up to you. This speech, you'll just start and finish. And don't worry about whether you make a mistake or something is not correct. The goal here is to start the speech and finish it. And this is your CFS, okay? This is your crappy first speech. Once you have it, you can work from it. And a lot of times I've found, from my personal experience, that the crappy first speech is pretty good, because you really don't have a very high expectation. You're not nervous, you just basically start speaking, and it comes out of your heart based on what you know. And a lot of times that's pretty good, actually. And I bet you'll find that too. Okay, so that's first week. That's what you want to actually deliver: an outline and a crappy first speech. The second week, you really got to focus on the message. Okay, now I got the crappy first speech done. What is the message? And message takes a while. You got to have a message. And in my one of the videos that I recorded, I talk about the 5 steps you can go through with one word, a 1 sentence, a tagline, a 1 sentence, a log line, a pitch, and a 3-minute speech, right? That is your message. You need to come up with a message that people can immediately capture. you'll capture their attention. So the message development takes a while because it's not a lot of words, but it has to be crisp. It has to pretty much communicate it. And I think the best thing to do is just focus on the message for 1 week. Because if you don't, then it'll be all over the place and you will have a lot of distractions, and you don't want any distractions when it comes to the message. Okay, so this, at the end of the second week, you will really record you'll come up with the message, that's the deliverable, and you'll basically go through this exercise. What is the one word that describes your speech? What is the tagline? What is the log line? What is the pitch? And what is the 3-minute speech? That's your deliverable for the end of the second week. Okay, so that takes care of week 2. Week 3, now that you have the message, you need to finish the content. So at this point, you really need to work on the introduction, the transitions. So you should have an outline on what are the main points you want to cover. And here you can get into more of a detailed outline in week 2, because now you have your message, you have a rough outline. Now put some meat behind it and come up with a detailed outline. At the end of this week, you will have several deliverables. You'll have a detailed outline. So at this point, your speech is pretty much coming together as far as the content is concerned, and the message has already been figured out. You may tweak it, but at this point, the message is set. Your content is done, and here what you'll do is from the detailed outline, you will record your speech, and I call this the second take. This is the second speech, and possibly even a third speech, right? At the end of the third speech, you've got to stop at this point and get some feedback. Okay, so these are your deliverables at the end of the third week. At this point, your content is fairly close to being complete. And that's the feed. And because you recorded the second and the third, at this point you should try to get a feedback from somebody. And again, I don't want to get too much into weeds on how to do feedback. That's a separate video. But you just don't want to just send out a speech and say, hey, can you give me a feedback? That's not what you want to do. What you want to do is ask specific questions. Ask specific questions. Did you understand the message? What are the main points? Have them flow the speech. So that way you get an idea on what were they able to capture from that content. That's week 3. Week 4 is probably the toughest, because this is the week, now that you have your message and you have your content, you're going to focus on the performance aspect of the speech. So now you're going to specifically focus on whether your voice is projecting right. So you're going to look at your voice, you're going to look at your body language, your gestures, also how authentic you are, what kind of emotion do you want to convey, controlled emotion. All of this becomes part of your performance. Like everything should be rehearsed. Like, how much do you want to emphasize? How do you emphasize the word? Where do you want to take the pauses? This is fairly complex. This gets kind of complicated, okay? That's why week 4 is just on the performance aspect, because you've already taken care of the message and the content. So week 4 is the performance. At the end of it, you will have another recording. Okay, at the end of week 4, your deliverable will be a performance. Okay, and this performance, at this point, you're getting close to finishing your performance, and you'll record it and maybe try to get a feedback from that. Okay. Week 5 is just the rehearsal. At this point, you have worked on the speech, you've got the message, and you worked on the performance. The week 5 is to create an experience. So you're just going to rehearse to create an experience for the audience. Okay. At this point, at the end of it, you will, maybe if you can find a few people, you will give a speech. And at this point, your speech is done. At this point, you're not going to be able to make any more changes because you're locked in at this point. You got your speech done, you got your performance done, and you're ready to deliver. But you're going to rehearse it several times so that when you get on the stage, you are going to look like you've done it before. You'll know your introduction, you'll know your transitions, you'll know your ending well, and you'll rehearse from entering, how you're going to be on the stage, how you're going to move, how you're going to end the speech, and how you're going to exit the stage. All of this stuff you're going to rehearse. And then week 6, you just focus on delivering the speech, do a great job. You already got the content done. There's nothing you're going to change at this point. You're just fixed. Everything is going to go, and you're all set. There's one more thing you need to do, and that is after the speech is delivered, you do need to spend some time. Immediately, you want to evaluate your speech and how you did. Then once you have some space, spend some time and see what worked, what needed to be improved, and what you could have done ahead of time, so that next time you don't repeat anything that you think you didn't do well. So that the last week, after 1 week after the speeches, the post-mortem is to really kind of evaluate the speech in more detail, write down the things, like what are the parts that worked well, whether it was content, whether it was the message, whether it was the performance, the experience. Did you create an experience? Also look at the feedback that you received, whether they were really constructive or not. And that's how much time you'll have to spend from week 1 to week 7. This is a lot of work, and that's why a lot of people don't do it. It is a lot of work. And what I just laid out in roughly is the 7-week process, okay? Let me know what you think, and good luck. And thank you for watching.